Alright, so here we're going to show you how to make like length frequency diagram manually. Sam just went over how to use the data analysis tool pack, and I'm just going to show you how to do that a different way with the same result. So like Sam's example, I've got the species laid out: yellow perch, smallmouth bass, largemouth bass, and the catches of these species next to it here in length in millimeters. I've already sorted them smallest to largest, and when you guys are doing this, you'll have to do that as well. Makes things a lot easier and much quicker. So again, to sort and filter, you go sort and filter and sort smallest to largest, and when it asks you do that, it won't do anything because I've already done it, but it'll ask you to either expand the selection or continue with the current selection, and you'd want to choose continue with the current selection to avoid unorganizing the rest of your data. Alright, so first we'll look at, I'll show you how to do yellow perch. So like Sam did before, your bins, you want to set them up in a way that is representative of your whole sample. So it looks like our biggest fish here is about 471. So I just typed in the first four here, 0, 10, 20, 30, and dragged that down until I got to 500 is what I went to. So basically what this is saying is this bin will be counting yellow perch that were between 0 millimeters and then 10, so 0 through 9 basically. And this is done manually, so we're looking at yellow perch 0 through 9, and there's nothing. So, and there's actually nothing until 60, so we can enter in our zeros until we get to 60. So we have one yellow perch that's between 60 and 69 millimeters, so we put in one there. And now we're at 70. We also have one again, which is 74, so we put in another one here for this bin. And again, we have a gap there until the 110, so we'd enter in zeros until we get to 110. And so for this bin, we're looking for yellow perch between 110 and 120. So you can quickly do this just by highlighting those numbers here and looking down here at count. Excel does this for you if you highlight it, and it tells you have 4 things there. So we know we can put in 4 right here. And we'll do another one here, 120. There's nothing for 120. 130, however, we got 130, 131, 132, 132, 134, 136, 138. We've got 7 there. So we want to enter in 7 in the 130 bin. Now, you guys will keep doing this for the whole set of bins. I'm going to speed through this here so we can get to the end and I can show you how to make the histogram. Alright, so now we have our yellow perch bin and frequency laid out. Now it's time to make our histogram. So with the data analysis tool pack that Sam showed you, it creates your histogram for you, which is very nice. But with the manual way, it's a good way to visualize how the data is actually going into that histogram. So the way I like to do it, I click on an empty cell. You go to the Insert tab along the top. And you see got a bunch of different chart types, but we want this middle one here, Insert Statistic Chart and Histogram. Alright, so we have our blank histogram chart here. Under Design on Chart Tools, we're going to click Select Data. This will help us manually input what we want to show up here. if you highlight all of this chart and try and do this, it makes a really weird plot, and I'll show you in a minute. But for this next part, I'm actually going to do screenshots of what I'm doing in here, because for some reason it won't let me record while I select data. So,
alright, so we get our select data source window that pops up. We've got three things there that we can input. We've got our chart data range, our legend entries, and our horizontal axis labels. We're going to add first our legend entries series, and you go and click right underneath there. You see the add button. Click add. So after you click add, a little window will pop up where you will select your where you want the range to be for your series. Um, so under series name, if you click right in that box there, you can click yellow perch, and it'll be named yellow perch. And if you click on series values in that bar there, you can then select your entire yellow perch counts that you've done. And I'm going to go ahead and do that here. Alright, so after you've inputted both the series name and the series values, um, you'll start to see a chart. It doesn't look quite right yet, but we'll get there. So the next thing you do is you'll click OK, and it'll bring you back to the select data source menu. This is now all we need to do is select our bins under the horizontal axis labels side on the right there. What this will do is correctly sort out our bins along the bottom of the chart. So if we click edit button on the horizontal axis labels on the right. Alright, so now that we have our axis label range, all we have to do is select the entire bin range all the way down to 500 and click OK. So we can see that we have the yellow perch data laid out under legend entries, and we have our bins under horizontal axis labels. So we're all set, and we can click OK and move on to editing the chart.
alright, so we have our histogram here. It looks pretty wonky. The x-axis needs to be formatted. So when we were selecting data, we put in what we want our horizontal labels to be. Right now it's not using them. So in order to do that, we have to right click on the axis here. You can see it's highlighted, and you want to go to Format Axis. This window pops up. You can format the colors and lines. You can format a bunch of other different things, but we want this far one to the right here, Axis Options, and we want to look at the numbers. So right now it's saying automatic. It's trying to fill in automatic bins, but we want to do by category that we had already selected. So now we have our bins that we have laid out here. I can make this a little bigger. You can see it better. And there we go. We have our length frequency diagram for yellow perch. And from here, you can change the title. I want this to be yellow perch. You can also add different elements to the chart. You can change, you can add an axis title, so you can go put this in here, say bins, and you can add a vertical and say frequency. And there you go. And then you can manipulate the chart in a bunch of different ways past that in the design and the format tabs to make it look nicer. But for like frequency diagrams, usually simpler is better.